Okay, so this is where we left off from the first video. So basically now we just talk about the different kind of species. So again, let me review this one really quick. So we have morphological. So basically talking about body shapes, size, and that's different. Okay, ecological. Basically talking about species that occupies different niche and occupies different has different role in the community. And phylogenetic basically talks about how species shares the same common ancestor, but they kind of branch off from the common ancestor and form the trees of life. So basically form their own clan, sort of, yeah, community, their own families. Okay, so basically there's two different type. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Okay, so there's allopatric speciation and sympatric speciation. So these kind of basically tells you one it's they don't live together, the other one's they living together, or they share a area. Okay, so let's go to next slide. So allopatric right here on the left hand side. So two different modes of speciation. As you can see, the name translate other homeland. So they actually don't live together. Okay, and sympatric, they live together homeland. So yeah, it's just a little funny thing, I guess. Anyway, get back to this. So allopatric, basically they are isolated from each other. Remember what I told you guys about at the beginning, that they don't live in the same place. They're going to have this long distance relationship going on. It's kind of like this, and eventually, because that geological barrier, they kind of become their own individual things. Okay, so you can kind of think of I don't know. That's a good. Well, bears. Here you go. California bears are usually browns. Whatever bears that you can find in California. Not necessarily California bear, but American bears are usually brown, larger, and all that stuff. But then you go to China, then you find panda, white and black furred, and they both are bears. So they once upon a time they probably were in the same place, but they start being divided, and then because they live so far apart from each other, they eventually cause different kind of species. So you have whatever American bears, then multiple different kind of American native bears here, and then you have panda, which is I guess Chinese bear. Okay, so because of that isolation of the two different homeland, quote unquote homeland, they become two different species. And sympatric, they live together. Okay, so there's overlapping right here, overlapping populations within the home range. Okay, so what happened is the genetic flow between different population, they're blocked. Okay, by three different criteria right here. Okay, polyploidy, polyploidy. I have to say it very slow, otherwise I'm gonna mess up. And another one is sexual selection, and then last one will be habitat differentiation. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about more. Oh, actually, there's an example. Okay, this is kind of like a allopatric, different homeland, separate. Okay, so these squirrel, they both are extremely cute, but they both are, they live fairly close to human standards, but extremely far away from each other by animal standards, especially they are so small. So because they're divided from the Grand Canyon, so they look kind of different. Okay, even though they are both squirrel, but they are different types of squirrels. Okay, so just an example. Okay, now sympatric. This is talking about the polyploidy situation. So basically, what happened is there's two different types. It's autopolyploid. Okay, so basically, this is one type, and another type on the bottom right here, polyploid. Okay, so basically, it's talking about having extra chromosomes. Okay, polyploid basically talking about multiple polyploidy chromosomes. So extra sets of chromosomes. So if you can see right here, so some cells they were supposed to do cell division, so they copied themselves already, but they forgot to do that. So what happened is they end up with 2 copies of the same thing. Okay, so what happened is they supposed to do divide, but they forgot. Not really forget, they just didn't do it. They didn't happen to finish up what they're supposed to do. So now they end up with 2 pairs. So oh well, they just gonna keep going on. And usually this doesn't happen in animal world. Okay, usually this happens way more often, as you can see, strawberries in plants. Okay, plants like to do that. They can tolerate that, and they can still survive. Animals usually not. Animals usually die when this happens. Okay. The bottom part. So, polyploid. Allopolyploid. Okay, 2 species produce a hybrid. So species A, fine, it has 6 chromosomes. Species B, fine, has 4 chromosomes. They start mating, and so they create this hybrid with 10 chromosomes. Okay, they're not meant to create a new baby, but they do, and they create a crazy baby that has 10 chromosomes. So that's kind of what happened. So they have extra too. Okay, not extra set, but they have extra chromosome because they're parents. Okay, so this is a kind of picture of the allopolyploid ploidy. I cannot say this right. I'm so sorry. Okay, species A, 6 chromosomes, fine, no problem. They divide it up, and then they have gamete, sperm or eggs. So they have 3 sets, which is still fine. And then species B have 4 chromosomes divided up, but they tried to divide up. Something happened, didn't happen, no division. So now they create this hybrid crazy thing that with 2, 4, 6, 7 chromosomes. Okay, 7 chromosomes, but they can't really do anything with it, so they just kind of left it. Okay, so what happened is this hybrid crazy alien tried to mate with something else, with a normal one of the mother or father species. Okay, that has a normal gamete and 3. So you kind of 7 plus 3, you add up with 10. Okay, so you create a brand new species from an error that occurred either on the father or mother side. Father mother side doesn't really apply here, but the father, quote unquote father, quote unquote mother side. Okay, so error in division will cause this kind of allopolyploidy to happen. Okay, now adaptive radiation. Basically, this is one species right here, founding parents. So it's kind of like, well, you can kind of think of this as the Bible story. Okay, Bible story, Adam and Eve, and you start producing a whole bunch of kids. So this is basically what it is. Adaptive radiation. Okay, so many new species arise from a single common ancestor. Okay, this what usually happens in plants. Okay, not as much in animal, but a lot of evidence can be found in plants. And right here we have an example. Next. So Hawaiian Islands. Okay, so many different small islands, and the same type of plants has different offspring, and they, through the genetic testing, we can trace that they all have a common ancestor. Then they all look different. Okay, so this one looks like that, this one looks like that. This one is really tall compared to this one, and compared to this one. This one has broad leaf, this one does not. Neither does this one. And this one kind of looks like bushes, but this one looks kind of like tree. So they all have common ancestor, but they all look different because of adaptive radiation. Sorry, I have my computer. Okay, and the last thing we'll be talking about, hybridome. Well, actually, second to last thing, hybridome. Hybridome is what happened when the 2 species, one goes this way, the other one goes this way, but they kind of overlap. Okay, their offspring start mating with each other, which will create the hybrid individual. And whatever it's happening between these two arrows, that's what we call hybrid zone. Okay, there are three situations that can happen from hybrid zone. One, if the hybrid zone is reinforced, which means the hybrids right here just slowly dies away, then and the two families kind of just like walk away. So they will have a completely different species from this end and a complete species from this end. Or fusion can happen. Okay, hybrid zone occurs and they kind of bring back the parents. So you can see they come back to one single species like how it was originally. So that's another situation. Last one, it's they actually create a stable hybrid new species. So what happened is the species becomes species 1, species 2, and the hybrid becomes species 3. Okay, this is a very important part because the stability requires the hybrid zone. The new hybrids have very, very strong survival ability. Okay, better fitness than their parents in order to for the third situation to occur. Okay, last concept, tempo of evolution. As you can see from this two graph, this one kind of gradual happen. This one kind of happened like it's almost like shoot up, like it shoots up and then it kind of chills a little bit, and it shoots up and it chills, and it shoots up and chills. So this one happens when you have a common ancestor. Okay, you have much slower, constant change, nothing that changes the pace of evolution. And then this one, it kind of spontaneous. So you have a long period of like no changes, and all of a sudden you have crazy change, and then you have long period of stability. Okay, and then the book actually shows you a very good example. So as you can see on the top, punctuated pattern. It happens really quickly. Happens once and it stays that way. So this mutation happens and you have white and you have brown. Okay, from yellow, and then the white just stay white throughout this whole time, and the brown stays brown throughout this entire time. Okay, gradual pattern slowly changes eventually into white. You start with yellow, slowly fade a little bit, and eventually the offspring would be just white instead of yellow. Okay, and this one, you slowly getting darker and darker and darker. Eventually, the whole thing becomes brown instead of yellow. Okay, so gradual changes happens over time, or happens really, really slowly over generation and generation and generation. And punctuated pattern happens very quickly at a very short time. Okay, it happens really quick and it stays that way for a long time. So that's the last concept we're going to talk about. Okay, much shorter than my last video that I did for you guys. So, well, anyway, enjoy this. Bye.